Yeah, for sure. I think it was a great day for wrestling. Obviously we didn't come out on the side of it that we wanted to, but man, I saw 7,300 plus. I don't even know if that place holds 7,300. I don't even know if the fire marshal would have approved of that, but Coach Schwab got them in there, and it was a great venue. It was a great experience for our guys. Here's the thing about losing is you really, as a coach and as an athlete, especially as an athlete, you should learn a lot more about yourself when you lose than when you win. So, I know there's a lot of people out there disappointed, and at the end of the day, their personnel was better than our personnel. We tried some tricks and moved some guys around and tried to throw a couple extra surprise guys in the weigh-ins, and when you're the underdog, sometimes you got to try to pull out the stops a little bit. So, but I think Coach Schwab's one of the best coaches out there. They had 5 seniors. That whole group came to wrestle. We were really young, and it showed. Really young, and we just, at the end of the day, we didn't have the right guys to get the job done against them, and they're ranked 4th for a reason. So, hats off to them. But I thought it was a really good experience, and like I say, I've been doing this a long time, and I know as an athlete, I sure as the heck learned a lot more from losing. And as a coach, this is the first day we're back on the mat, Tuesday since Sunday, and I think we'll have a good practice. I think we'll have guys that things didn't go their way that might be a little more attentive today.
What did you learn about your team?
Well, I think I learned the moment got a couple of them. At 125 and 149, we didn't handle the moment well at all. We were ahead in both those matches and fell apart. And that's more mental than physical. That's just, at 125 is the first time he's ever been out there in that situation. And obviously he was pulling a little bit away. At 149, we kind of went back to where we were from, where we started out, and just we lost focus there, and the moment got big for us. And I think that's the main thing, is lost focus, because Pinero works really hard. And, we've seen a guy that separated himself in 1/3 periods for the 11 or 12 and 0. So, you just either write it off as a bad match, or else you find out against Missouri, was it a bad match or wasn't it a bad match? You got to, the great thing about this is, if that would have been the last match of the season and you're in that guy's shoes, you're going to have some sleepless nights between now and next season. But he gets to get back on the horse in 4 or 5 days, and he gets a chance to fix it. So there's definitely a silver lining there. And I learned some guys, I learned that, we're pretty darn good at 133, at 141. We just got a senior just snuck in when we let our guard down for a minute, and that savviness and that experience showed at 140, at 157. We got a guy that keeps getting better. So I think there's some good things at heavyweight, and even Bachman moving up and wrestling a guy that's 15 pounds bigger than him, just so we can try to figure out a way to save a few points or get a few points. I like the progress he's had. So, some good things out of that heavyweight. I really like the progress that guy's making. I mean, here he is, a true freshman, and I saw the rankings this morning, and he's the top 20. I don't think anybody would have bet that 4 months ago. So, I try to look at all the positives, and even in the losses we had, you find out where guys are, and we'll find that out today and tomorrow, and then especially on Saturday when we get to go to Missouri. So,
I'm sorry, you mentioned Jacob. He seems to keep developing, the loss notwithstanding. I mean, he had Apple kind of on the run there, a tough customer, like you said, savvy. Just how has he, A, his gas tank, and B, his own savviness developed this season?
He really has. They've wrestled before, and it wasn't even, Apple blew him out of the water. So I thought he competed really well. And you could tell he went in to win that match. And man, I have a lot of respect for Apple. He's tough. He wrestles hard, but we had him on the ropes. Like, he was tired. We had him on the ropes, and but I think a lot of him. I think he's a tough kid, and he figures out how to win those matches. And man, he snuck one in on us and just caught us flat-footed, and good for him.
What have the Frost brothers done to develop their gas tanks?
They work awful hard. They work really, really hard. And I challenged them a little bit. I challenged, especially Evans, a little bit higher rank right now. I said, you can go to Philadelphia with the mindset that I'm going to win it all, or I'm just going to go to Philadelphia and do the best job I can. And so when you go to the NCAA tournament and your sole objective is to win it, you have a chance to win it. But in order to do that, we have to be a professional outside of the room. And that's kind of sometimes their chink, is they just, they're still kind of young. And, some guys that cut weight when they're young, they like to reward themselves. And I'm old school, and so I'm hard on them. I said, you can't be a high school kid. High school kids, when they make weight, they feel sorry for themselves, and the way they fix that is they eat like crazy for 48 hours the next 2 days. Right? That's what young guys do. That's what immature guys do. I said, the professionals, they just understand that weight cut and maintaining that weight and not being able to eat or drink as much as you want for months at a time is just part of the job. So if you're going to go to Philadelphia and win, you got to be a professional these last 30 days. So we'll see.
Is Jacob's trajectory a little bit like Evan's last year, whereas maybe he's in that ladder, can't go and wrestle the best you can, but you could be certainly.
I think that's a good observation. I think they're very similar. I mean, Evan kind of came out of nowhere last year, and just every week, started knocking off guys, and now you see that with Jacob, and I think he was right there again this weekend. So, and he's got a crazy tough weight. I mean, he's got the Northern Colorado kid. Who else is a second there seed there? I can't even think about it, but that weight is just loaded.
Yeah.
Huh? Yeah, Oklahoma State kid who he's already beat, but I'm missing somebody else in there too that's really good. So that top four, that turn of that weight, and even the depth in that weight's good. So, but I love his trajectory.
What's impressed you most about Daniel Herrera this last weekend and just the season as a whole? Like you said, this
I didn't know that he was such a competitor. Like he really. You can tell when it's game day and it's time to wrestle, he's excited. He's really excited to wrestle, no matter who he wrestles. And that's I saw him just as excited to wrestle Hendrickson, who he had, probably not much chance against. And he was super excited to wrestle Colton Schultz, wasn't that far out of that. So it's unusual for a young kid to be that competitive that he's craving to wrestle such high-level guys. So I like his competitiveness, and, he's a pretty good athlete, and that's a good combination for a wrestler.
Having such a young lineup, I mean, getting the experiences like you guys got at UNI, I mean, what does that mean in terms of development?
Well, that's the silver lining, but I'm not going to lie. Turning back every now and then and seeing Swiderski and Bastida and Ichimandia and Uten and Terrakina, that's cheering wasn't what I envisioned in November. Let me tell you that. They were cheering, but you don't get no points for cheering, right? So the silver lining for those guys is guys like there's some of those guys like like Daniel Herrera and maybe Jacob Frost and Riggins. They're getting reps that they might not have got, so that's the silver lining.
Going back to Herrera, I don't know how rare or how often do you find a true freshman who works as hard as he does?
We've been lucky. We think we recruit the right guys. I mean, the Frost brothers, their redshirt year, they worked extremely hard. Like I say you always got to train to be the guy, and most of them roll their eyes and go, "Yeah, right, coach." Do they really train to be the guy, right? The Frost brothers, their freshman year, when they weren't the guys, trained to be the guys, right? Daniel works hard. I'm going to tell you this, that his competitiveness, and he takes it up a notch when he competes. He might not be the same guy in practice yet, but he has mostly good practice days. But it's really hard for a true freshman to come into a really tough college room and be a hammer every day, So he's not there yet in terms of that development, but he gives us a lot more good days than bad days.
Looking at Cody Chittum, he got avenged that over Ryder Downey. Talk about his growth and what does his preparation look like from your point of view?
Well, he's a different cat. He was hand fighting on the way over to weigh-ins in the bus with guys in the aisle. So to get ready for the dual meet, just pulling guys out of their seats, and they were dressed in their street clothes, and he was doing stance and motion all up and down the aisle on the charter bus for 30 minutes before we got to the warm-up site. So he's excited about wrestling right now. Probably our biggest challenge with him right now is just like, okay, calm down a little bit. You do have to sleep. Sleep is important. You got to sleep some. He doesn't like to sleep a lot. He just likes to be over here and he likes to train. And so super hungry right now. I think he continues to get better at wrestling. He's being smarter. He's not rolling around as much. He's, kind of some baseline defense skills that we've been trying to teach him. He's doing better at. And so I really like where he's at. Got a tough weight.
Is that a common occurrence for him, pulling guys out of their seats and starting hand fighting with them?
I think everybody's, we all knew he was a little nuts, but he's taken it to another level this year. So I think it might even be shocking a few of them. So I like him because he's really kind of it's a funny side note. He's really kind of taken over the locker room because I'm a nitpicky about the locker room. I think if you got a junky locker room, you got a junky team. So I'm always harping about the locker room looking really good. Hang your stuff up. When you walk out of here, you want people to walk in this locker room and look like it's a professional organization. So Chittum's taken it upon himself since about Christmas that he makes sure that locker room is picked up every night. He comes in late at night, cleans the locker room, gets back the next morning, cleans the locker room. He's even taken it to the step that now he's in my locker and he folds all my stuff. When I come back, like every day, my stuff, if I don't fold it, it's folded because Chittum's been folding he folds my shorts, he folds my t-shirts. So he's a different bird. And we really like where he's at right now.
What does that say about his development?
Well, I think he learned a lot, and losing in Kansas City last year bothered him. It really bothered him. I mean, he came to college to be an NCAA champ, and some guys say it, and some guys live it, and he's living it, and he's only a sophomore. So I'm not putting any pressure on him, but it wouldn't surprise me where he landed this year. Really good. He didn't expect to be done as soon as he was last year, and he's really embraced I think the changes he needs to make sure he doesn't have that same outcome.
Have you been around someone like Chittum before in the I don't know if manic's the right word, but the manic preparation and organization of a locker room? Have you seen that before?
Yeah, I've been around. It seems like I always say the really, really good ones are the nuttiest ones. So I was, I could tell you some stories about some guys I went to college with that were, nuts, but probably have to censor it.
How's Terry Keena doing?
He's doing great. He's back on the mat. We're not going to wrestle him this weekend against Missouri, but he's back on the mat. He's going to scrap some this week, and then we're going to turn him really loose next week. He's excited. He's done a great job. He's been, talk about a professional, his whole career we've been having to fuss at him about his weight and his discipline, and not one time this year. So I'm excited to see. I hope he's got enough reps in him that he can do what I think he can do at the Big 12s, but he sure would have been nice to have on Sunday.
And then MJ had that minor tweak, it seemed like, in his knee. Is he doing all right?
Yeah, he's doing okay. Anymore when he went down, I thought, oh my gosh, we can't do this again. But luckily, it was just a small. He had some swelling yesterday morning, but I think he's going to be fine. I think him going this weekend is probably 50-50, just because it's the last one of the year. If it was Big 12s, we'd go for sure. So I haven't made a decision on him. Yeah, we'll watch him today and tomorrow.